Hey, what's going on, my friends? This is your boy Turgon, the grumpy ass dwarf. And today we're going to be doing another video. Usually I don't do too many videos in a week. I like to do like maybe one a week, two a week. But this week is a special week. You can see the timer counting down up here. There's less than 30 hours left in Season 5, Server 54, Tactics Evolved, playing with my good friends on the Fellowship serve within the Erebor faction. It's a great day. Um, just to set an agenda for you here, we're going to talk through the state of the server, just to give you a current state of the server. Then we're going to talk through there is maintenance tonight, and they're giving us a patch, and it's going to have significant impact on battling for the rest of the season. And we'll talk through that. Then we're going to talk about a couple other topics that are near and dear to my heart, like gem management. How do I like to use my gems and manage my gems? How does that affect how I fight, how I play the game, how much money I spend? Next, I'm going to introduce a new part of my videos that I like to call comms of the day. We're going to do two comms today. We're going to talk about Treebeard and we're going to talk about Gilgalad. I'm just going to go through 2.5 minutes maybe for each to give you a rundown of their talents, their gear, how I like to use them, how I like to staff them with armies for different situations, just to kind of give you um, some subject matter expertise on those two commanders. And then the last topic of the day before we wrap up, some strategies that I like to use to minimize mismatches in the heat of combat through using public reports. Sounds complicated. I hope you enjoy the video though. So, current state of the server, it's starting to kind of wind down. Yesterday, Lothlorien made a big play. They came all the way through from the tunnels at Moria and came down to try to take Karis. And between the Variags, Rohan, and Erebor, they were kicked the hell out of there. So that was honestly a pretty exciting moment, and it was cool to be part of that. Excuse me. In the meantime, we continue fighting up in these tunnels leading to Rivendell, and we're going to continue doing that. We're going to push Rivendell. If it's the last keep we take this season, then so be it. Um, I think, anyway, that's the plan. I don't know. I don't talk to people anymore. I do and I don't. I mean, nothing. You can't plan too far ahead because, I mean, if you saw, I posted a video on my other YouTube um, like a week ago, not even, and we were like up against Rivendell, and I was like, yeah, we're gonna take this tomorrow, and then like literally, just some crazy stuff happened, like Lothlorien Keep got ported from somewhere in the map, and the game decided to plop it down right behind our line, and it just completely ruined the whole thing for us, and we couldn't recover, and we got pushed all the way back to the neutral tunnel there. So that'll be interesting. And we did take this Northern Downs keep. It looks as though Lyndon is making a play to strip Arnor of Numinos, which at this point doesn't even make any difference. It's just kind of dickish, if you ask me. I understand. I mean, when Loth was making a play for their capital, then it kind of would have made Loth getting their capital moot. But now that Loth is nowhere near their capital and there's less than 30 hours of season left, there's no reason really to take this at this point other than just so they have something to do, which is fine. I understand. I'm not going to judge anyone. You play your game, I play mine. We have some activity down here at Athelion between Gondor seems to be pushing for Osgiliath. Not a whole lot, of action though, based upon the number of deaths and participants here. There's some fighting going on between our brethren Fellowship Beer and our friends the Variags. We're not involved at all. We don't have any real interest and fighting very eggs. We did so much of that the first 5 weeks of the season. Speaking at least for myself, I'm good. There has been some activity over here by Greater Rune, but they've been pushed back. And there's been some fighting over in Dorwinion, and they've been pushed back. So that's where we're at with the current state of the server at this time. It was total anarchy pretty recently, but things seem to be calming down a bit now. Please excuse me for a moment while I just convert an exorbitant amount of stone into food. And let's take a little bit of this too. And let's make something. I like to keep stuff rolling on the supply line here for troops um, quite a bit. I'm just gonna make, maybe like 1,500. Yeah, let's make 2,000 of these guys. There we go. All right, so that's what's going on with the current state of the server. No idea what's going to happen. More than likely, Variag and Mordor will be number 1 and 2 in terms of this season reward, the faction united faction control, and it really benefits these factions that they don't have uh, a faction alliance because it's based on the average number of control points. And when you're by yourself, the denominator is 1, whereas us being in a faction alliance, our denominator is 2, so the average gets divided by 2. So we get a 40 control points, and our average will be 20. And then a team like Mordor could have 21 and still be higher than us. So we're probably going to end up number 3 in the current ranking, and that's okay. That happens. All right, so that's kind of our current state of the server. The patch tonight, what's that going to do? It's going to be really significant because it's going to take away something that I myself have abused belligerently all season, which is shield training. This shield training is an elite 2 skill that is available for both guardians and guards of the tower. And as you can see, it reduces damage to all allies by 20%. So if you have one command of Guardians and one command of Guards of the Tower, it's going to cancel that effect on each of them, and then your third unit is going to get that benefit stacked for negative 40% damage received. It persists throughout the entirety of the battle because it's cast during the preparation phase of the battle. So even after all the units die, the effect persists throughout the entire battle. They're taking that away tonight. As soon as the units die, the buff goes away, so shield training is essentially worthless. Huzzah. I know that there have been a lot of people that have been complaining about that all season. I definitely have been leveraging it quite a bit so that then I don't need to have a ton of Guards of the Tower or Guardians. I only use one command of them in each of my armies. So I didn't need a ton of them. That's why I'm making a ton of them now, because I'm going to totally revamp these units for play over the last 24 hours of the server, 20 hours of the server really after the maintenance end. I'm going to be using this Manish attack as the Elite 3, and I want to change this over from shield training to probably divide and conquer. There we go, divide and conquer. So that'll reduce the amount of damage they're taking. I could do survival crisis, but I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze for that. I know this is going to make them tougher to kill, and they're already pretty tough, especially against cavalry units between anti-cav training and shielding. So they're pretty tough units. And then also the Guardians are pretty good as well because they also have shielding. And I'll switch this over for them to heavy shield after the update. So that's how I'm going to get around it. And I'm just going to retool how I use my armies. And it should still be fun. I'm trying to get myself up to 2.5 million prestige by the end of the season. I'm right on the border of 2.4 million. I must have hit a keep once or twice this season. Siege damage and number of enemies defeated when occupying structures for the first time. I didn't do that so much. I mostly, like, my contribution score is like 98% prestige. So pretty much the next time I tap another player in PvP, you'll see this score go up to 2.4, which I'm pretty proud of because I play really hard, or at least I try to. I know I have some people that don't love me and think that I'm a dope. And you know what? You're probably right, and I don't care. And just to give you an example, I mean, you can see clearly how I'm using this. So it's pretty effective. So that's what's going on with the patch. And next, gem management. Right. So what do I use my gems for? Well, one thing I use my gems for is to speed heal. I hate waiting for my soldiers to heal. I hate it so much. I have no patience for that. I admit it. So as you can see, I like to keep a little bank of gems here, and I'll just use them to speed heal my troops, and so that I can put them back into reinforce and put them back into battle as soon as possible. I just think it's more efficient to do it that way. The other thing I like to use gems for is in the shop each day, you get these resource bonuses. I buy them every day. It's 200 gems. And like I was saying in another video, I like to pop those before I go to sleep so that I don't use it while I'm awake. And then it builds up while I'm asleep so that I wake up and I have a nice bank of resources available to be able to refresh my conscriptions that is going on in the barracks. I like to have troops rolling all the time off the barracks. The more troops you have, the more troops you can use. The more troops you use, the more you fight. The more you fight, the higher your prestige. And then the next factor in all of that, of course, is how successful are your troops in battle. Obviously, if your troops get slaughtered, you're not going to get as much prestige as battles where you slaughter the enemy. So um, that's the other kind of X factor in all this. The other thing I like to use gems for each day is to refresh my tavern. I don't like to spend 400 gems to refresh my tavern. I think that cost is a little bit too high unless I'm really working for something specific. But I will do the 200 every day. And it's not that expensive to play this way, guys. It's not like Game of Thrones Conquest where you need to spend $200 a week in order to be competitive, depending on what server you're on, of course. There might be some newer servers where that number is different, but the servers that I was on the last couple of months I was playing that game, that's basically the price tag you were looking at. It was too high for me. I'm a, s- I'm in a solo income household with two kids, so it was too expensive for me. But with this, you can spend like $20 a week and get by really fine. And I think that is a pretty reasonable cost, especially considering the price of gas these days. You got to spend 50, 60, $70 to fill up your gas tank. Um, you know, $20 to play a video game that gives you hours and hours and hours of entertainment is really good. You could be going to the bar each night and spending $100, or you could take that $100 and you can play this game the way that I play it for 5 days. So just a couple of thoughts regarding, cost management, using gems, gem management, all that kind of stuff. Now, next on the agenda, let's talk about commanders. Let's talk about Gilgalad. First, let's talk about his gear, so you have an understanding of how I have him geared. The Elven White Knife is a pretty obvious one. It's great for him because it's going to increase all of the allied Elvish units' damage. I only have it at two stars, but I am close, guys. I only need one more, and then it's going to go up from 6% to 8% at 3 stars. Can't wait. That'll be really nice. And then also the core stat, increases might, which is going to increase the damage of both Gilgalad and the army. And then the base stat, army attack +5. I mean, all of this stuff just phenomenal for Gilgalad. I can't really think of any other weapons that I would rather put on him other than, I've seen some people use the Mirkwood bow on him, and it usually specifically buffs ranged units more so, and that's fine. It's good. I'm not saying don't use that, but this is what I use and I prefer it at this given time, even though I have this, because I get more might. The speed is nice, but what is it going to really do for me? And this only buffs ranged attack by 3, whereas this buffs all elves attack by 5. This Pierce, I could probably swap this out with a different one. I don't know if I have any other ones to swap it out with at this point. I do not. So this bow would be something that I would use on like Legolas, which I'm not using Legolas. So, and then we've got the High Elf Holbrook as his chest. Great stats all across the board. You know, the army defense for elves plus 12. They'll be plus 15 if I could ever get it to 5 stars, which I'm close to being able to do if I decide to ditch, you know, this one and this one. This will obviously be used to refine the armor up to 3 stars once I get one more. So then that focus, burn, and poison damage received will be negative 20% instead of negative 15%. Love this chest piece for him. And then for the helmet, we've got the Hunter's Guide with the Aegis. 2/3 of a chance over the first 4 rounds for each unit in the army to gain stun and madness immunity. It's huge, especially when it procs. So if I could get this to 5 star, 5 gold stars someday, I'll be a very happy man because that's 100% protection. And then for the accessory, we've got the harp, and it's pretty obvious, you know, based upon it basically does the same thing that the knife does. It buffs the defense, the might. It gives him focus on top of that, a ton of focus, which is good. And then with this trait, Might of Elves. So you stack this 6% with this 6%, and I'm buffing Elven units damage by 12%. Coming into the talents, that 12% from the gear, add that in to another 14%, that's 26% damage buff. And then if they have follow-up, that's huge as well. And then removing base defense from the enemy by 35. It's huge. All of these things stack and matter. And then Kingly King is just a huge, huge ability for him. You know, between the evasion and the plus 10 defense, it's a must-have on him. Unless you know you're fighting somebody with pursuit, and then you can pull all these points out and stick him into White Council to try to mitigate as much of that damage over the first 3 rounds as you possibly can. But you need to have really good intelligence to do that, and you need to be really quick to be able to update all these abilities. So that's Gil-galad in a nutshell. Let me know if you have any questions. The other commander I wanted to talk through was this guy, and I think this build is funky, but it's really fun, especially playing as Erebor. It's really kind of an Erebor specific because I've tried using a number of different units with him. With the Ents, he has massive damage issues. I mean, he just doesn't do a tremendous amount of commander damage, at least with this build. I use this to increase the damage, and this increases Treebeard's damage as well. And really, the reason why I'm using this is to get at this, to reduce all damage that the enemies do by 28%. Which, when you're stacking that with the shield training on the guards of the tower, you know that really becomes 48% damage mitigation. And then you also have the focus here. So as the battle progresses, the focus stacks and the damage, incoming damage, reduces. Plus his heal. His heal is huge. So I really love using Treebeard as a stopper. And if you watch the other video I posted last night, I have reports that I was sharing that show that he's really effective of that. He's not gonna kick your butt, but you're not gonna get past him for a while. It's gonna take 2, 3, 4 armies for you to knock him out. Because he's got so much healing, so much damage mitigation, and you know, you look at the items that I put on him. You know, I use Iron Warriors with him. It buffs this hammer buffs their defense by an insane amount, and that on top of Shatter, which is really nice. It's essentially mimicking the War Rams. Uh, Negative 30% damage debuff. It's not 50% like the Ram Riders, but it's still significant because he inflicts this 50% chance of inflicting it every time he attacks, which is pretty nice. And then this also, you know, stacking that with the 21 for this, along with 20 defense from the chest, it's 41 defense to my army right then and there. Focus speed, inflicting madness every 2 rounds, that could be really helpful. And then increasing the march speed of Ents, increasing the focus, increasing the speed. So this fiddle has been really, really beneficial for me because Dwarven armies are really slow, so you usually can spot an Ent army coming a mile away because there's nothing in the game that is slower than a moving Ent. But this fiddle speeds them up enough that you can't really tell the difference between my Treebeard and a dwarf army. So I've definitely caught some people off guard with this build. It's pretty funny. I mean, he's only level 39. I would love to see what he could do level 50, but I don't have time to get him there the rest of the season. But I think he's been an excellent kind of sixth commander for me in terms of using him. Like last night, I was using, Gilgalad, Dwalin, and Aragorn to hold down a 200 tile. And when I needed time for reinforcements, Treebeard was there, man, and he stalled. He was an excellent staller. So, just some thoughts on those two commanders. I hope you found that to be insightful and beneficial. The last piece that I wanted to talk through is how I like to use public reports to see what's going on and to determine where a good spot might be to attack. Now, there's not a lot going on up here, so it's kind of tough for me to give you an example. And you need to understand how public reports work to use it effectively. And they give you a really good definition of that in here. Come up here to public report. Public reports show the following type of battle reports generated by other players. They're going to either be battle reports generated when one's own faction's significant structures are attacked. So if Erebor is being attacked, I'm going to see all the reports, but not crossings or like uh, bases. Battle reports generated by members of your own fellowship slash warband during battle with other factions players. So anytime a blue tile gets attacked, you can see it. And then also battle reports generated when members of your fellowship slash warband attack significant structures. So we hit Angbad yesterday, Kharndun, sorry, and I could see those reports in the public reports. What I like to do is wait and see. There's no movement going on right here. I kind of am getting the impression that Lothlorien and either a lot of their players are kind of done AFK, or they're backing off and replenishing their barracks for kind of one final hurrah over the last day after this update is applied. And so there's not a lot going on here where I can use to generate a report. But if somebody hit like this tile, I would look for that report in the public reports. I would look to see, what hit it. It's all victories. There's a draw, but it's a PvE. So nothing really great here. Okay, here's one. You can see, okay, this is what the guys that I'm facing, and then you can make a determination as to what you want to use to counter that. I'll try to follow up on this particular topic in another video when I maybe am in the thick of battle or something, so I can provide some more examples for you. I think that'll be more helpful. But I just wanted to kind of throw the concept out at people. And let me know if you have any thoughts, feedback, whatever concerning this video. I appreciate you taking the time to watch it. I hope the rest of the day treats you well. And I'll see you next time. I'll do another one tomorrow around the same time just to kind of see. Well, not the same time. I'm not going to be around tomorrow during this time. I'll be at the office. But I will do probably one more tomorrow just after the season ends or right before the season ends, just to kind of wrap everything up and give you kind of my take on Season 5, Server 54. So I hope you'll join me. And like I said, I hope the rest of the day treats you well. Take care.